Hi, guys, good evening, and welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host, Eddie, and in tonight's video, I'll be discussing what I thought of the latest horror movie from producer James Gunn. Brightburn. Woo! Scary stuff, but good. Very good. Before I begin, of course, be full warned, this is a spoiler-filled film review. Again, if you have not seen Brightburn and you would like to, it opened earlier today. If you'd like to see this movie and you haven't yet, do not keep watching or listening to this video, as I will be discussing major spoilers regarding scenes, characters, and plot details. So again, spoiler warning, you have been warned. Okay, and spoilers are starting from here on out now. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I mean, this film answered the question that a lot of people had been wondering or asking all these years. What if Superman was a bad guy? What if Clark Kent turned out to be a monster rather than our savior? And right as this movie started, I remembered that line from the movie Suicide Squad when David Harbour's character, you know, the guy who plays Jim Hopper on Stranger Things, in case you forgot he was in that movie. He says at a White House briefing, what if Superman had come down, ripped the roof off of the White House, and carried the president out? Who would have stopped him? And I thought to myself, this movie is the answer to that question. This is the story of like opposite or anti-Superman, basically. Instead of like the wholesome American Midwestern family raising a kid who's really an alien and teaching him to be a good, decent person and protecting others, he becomes a monster, essentially. You know, he basically becomes a monster. And what was so fascinating about this story was that it was an interesting blend, a mixture of genres. It was a mixture of the superhero genre with, I would almost call it the slasher genre, like a community being terrorized by this unseen, mysterious menace. And then it's also like a superhero origin story. Like if this was a standalone origin story, this would be that story. Although in this case, it's not for a hero. It's not for a superhero. It's more for a super villain. And the way it ended with like his parents dead and him crashing that plane and nobody seems to be the wiser or realize he's the one causing all these problems, and then he's seen elsewhere all over the state and all over his town. Oh god. And then Michael Rooker as the Alex Jones type internet personality getting all angry and worked up and screaming conspiracy theories was hilarious and a perfect way to end it, because now it's like the rest of the world is starting to realize who and what this kid is. Speaking of which, that actor Jackson A. Dunn, I believe, what a choice. Good casting there. That kid did a great job, and I could tell why they chose him. He was creepy. He could be an innocent little boy at times, but for the most part, he was one of those creepy killer kids that you see in horror movies, or one of those kids who will grow up to become a full-blown sociopath. But everybody did a great job. I mean, I was really happy to see Elizabeth Banks back in a horror role again. I really enjoyed her in another James Gunn horror movie, Slither. She was the lead in that as well, and it was awesome to see her the lead in this. And then the guy who played Roy from The Office, David Denham, very cool to see him as well. They made a great couple. And I loved how the movie tackled with issues of like, what do you do or what to do when you know a loved one, despite them being a loved one? What do you do when you know they're hurting people or they could be hurting people? Like Dad's solution was to take him out hunting and shoot him to make him look like an accident. Well, unfortunately, he's immune to bullets, much like Superman. And then he ends up killing the dad in a very memorable death scene. By the way, lots of creative, disgusting, memorable kills in this movie, which is something you always want in a good horror movie, or at least a slasher film. You know, it's like he basically barbecued his dad's head with his laser eyes, and dislocated his uncle's jaw with the steering wheel in the car. Oof, that was hard to watch. And then, the woman who got the shard of glass in her eye and then pulled it out. Ouch. And then there was another good one. Oh, when he attacked the sheriff and he basically splattered him across the lawn. Lots of memorable death scenes in this movie, gory death scenes and kills. That's something, like I said, that's something you want in a slasher genre. But overall, I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a fascinating take on the superhero or supervillain genre. It was scary. It had me kind of like be startled at a few moments there. I mean, some cliche horror scares, but they may be cliche, but they're still effective and they're still scary. Jump scares, as predictable as they can still be scary. That's what makes them effective. So overall, I enjoyed this movie. I would highly recommend it for anyone who's a horror fan or a fan of James Gunn's work or Elizabeth Banks' films as well, or anybody who enjoys the superhero genre, even though this is more a story about a super villain. And I've just I really enjoyed it, and I think you guys will too. So the Edwards recommends Brightburn. I say see it. You're gonna like it. There's no post-credit scene at the end, but for the beginning of the credit scenes is when we see those news stories online where Michael Rooker's character appears as the internet conspiracy theorist screaming about how this kid is literally an alien from outer space, which really is the truth in this movie. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a wonderful rest of your night. Brightburn is now playing in theaters. You don't want to miss it. It's a good one. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thanks again for watching. And of course, until next time, may the force be with you.